I don't know what to make of my time traveling recently. For example, I went to Paris. I've been there before, and I wasn't that impressed by it. I don't know, but the first time I was there, like I didn't have even time to it's just like, for me, all those tiny little buildings, and within each one, people are living, and those people are trying to get somewhere in life, and their life is full of meaning to them, and they have desires, they have fears, and they have a whole life as rich or as empty as my own and as anybody else's, and all of that just kind of like, I don't know, it really overwhelms me. And I don't know what to do with it, so I just kind of stand and stare, numbing, like, numb and numbing whatever this provokes in me. So I don't know if anyone else has that kind of experience. Maybe we all do to some degree when we stare at these kind of landscapes, but for me it's nothing joyful or nothing to relish or rejoice about. But it's just there, and we're put into it, or like some people thrive in it and choose to go for that. I don't know, I really don't understand how people can tolerate and upkeep and want that kind of lifestyle for their life, or for the majority of their life. I would like to say that I admire it, but it's just not a lifestyle that I want. And I guess I thrive, and or simply I can simply exist. I can simply exist in a peaceful way, and not like, and only in a village. I can't do that in a city. I feel like I don't exist, and I guess I want that experience. I want that experience of really not existing, because I find that less burdening than knowing that I do exist. Like, I find my presence, knowing that my presence is known to other people, I find that ego-wise may have ugly. I find my presence to the world kind of a disgusting thing, and not something that I would like to face. But yeah, and I think I'm also jealous of people who live in cities, because they must see themselves as important as and as worthy and as deserving and as I don't know, I guess valuable to society, because it can be to a place, it can be to a person. But I guess it always implies that there's something external and yourself, and there has to be a relationship between the two in order for those two to coexist. But whenever there's a second party in something, I always find that there's going to be some sort of power imbalance or some imbalance of interest. But this can be in many different ways. Say if we're talking in a romantic situation, I always think that there's going to be fundamentally sacrifices made on one half slightly more than the other. One person is going to love more than the other, and therefore make more compromises and gestures towards making the other person feel satisfied and happy, and they'll suppress their own friendships, I think. But it depends on what one defines as friendship, but again, I think it can fluctuate, I guess, but I think there's always a little bit more attachment or a little bit more investment of one person than the other in it, I would say. But then at the same time, one never knows, because we only have our own subjective experience, so therefore who am I to say that I feel like I'm more attached to my best friend than she is or than he is. I simply don't know that. I don't think there's I'm just trying to understand it now. I don't think there would ever be such a thing as truth. I was trying to make this point, like, if there was, say, a god, something like more or less objective, trying to make a judgment of a situation, being like, this is right, that's wrong, or they love you more, or they loved you more than she loved you, or whatever. Like, even if they had this quote-unquote objective view on it, because it's the third party, they're still going to have it's still going to be a subjective view. So who in existence ever has an objective point of view? Like, does objectivity even exist? Like, if you're completely impartial, does that mean you're a living thing? Does that mean that death is truth? You know what I mean? Sorry, I'm just like that was just like a spiral kind of, you know, like but then of course, like, you can still make I guess life and death is like the same, like, not really the same thing, but one could argue they're of equal value, because without death, like, we're not living, and without living, we're not, well, we're dead. Like, is absolute truth? To which I responded, nothing is truth. And then later I wrote later, without knowledge there is no truth. Knowledge is false. Okay, so at this point I was just like noting things down, and then I elaborated on it later. So bear with me, and also take everything with a grain of salt, because these are just my scattered thoughts. So nothing is truth. Without knowledge there is no truth. Knowledge is false, created and flawed. When we know truth, there is no need for proof. Oh, and then I just go into a bunch of stuff about masculinity, motherhood, and suppression of emotion, which has nothing to do with that. Well, that's it, folks. I think that was all the thoughts I had on that, so that's great. Well, make of that what you are. I thought that was going to be a lot more fruitful than it turned out to be, but such is life. Yeah, well, I love how we went from talking about walking on the streets of Paris to truth, but that's my truth, I guess. Yeah, back to the concept of love, because I'm always thinking about it. Okay, well, maybe not always, yeah, but when I have nothing to think about and I have nothing to do, I think about love, and I hate that. I really do. Because I don't know if I want it, but me thinking about it so much, I guess in the eyes of others, and me judging myself, that automatically makes it look like I do want which for me is just like a no-no. Because it is obligation. Of course you want it. You would want, like, if you want a monogamous relationship and like just a relationship in general, like you want that. So it doesn't feel like an obligation. But it still is at the core because you've signed this rule for, or like you've decided on this rule. But like it's a desire. But it's still an obligation anyways. So that's one reason I don't want to be in love. Second reason is like if you're in love, like you're more tempted to like want to continue it and for what? And I think people are just gonna get hurt along the way anyways because it's gonna end regardless, death or the person walking out. Like one of the people walking out. And honestly I prefer that. I don't know why I'm saying this, but I would prefer it like that. Second of all, well that was second of all. Third of all, I don't know. I think there would be more lenience to have a child with that person, and I know that that's not what I want, even though I fantasize about it all the time, not actually having a child. Like this is going to my weird fantasies, but I'm cringy as fuck that that's my fantasy, and like whatever. But that's just that, like that is how it is. Like it's just a matter of fact, like what are you gonna do about it? So there's that. But once it comes to like, so when I'm playing out these fantasies in my head, whatever, there's never a point where it's like, the child is actually present. Like I couldn't give less of a fuck if the child was dead or alive. Like it's just about me being pregnant. I don't know why. I think it's like it's because it's so alien and absurd, and like the idea of mystery as well. That you're kind of in this in between. That really seduces me. Yeah, amongst other things that seduce me is like being in a room like full of like friends and like it's a get together and people, you know, it's just like having a little indoor kind of not party but like just a chill get together, and you're in a, I guess you're like your man or whatever, your boyfriend, whatever the fuck you wanna call him, or like a guy that you're both like you're seeing and you're both romantically interested in each other and you're like kind of in a relationship but it's really quiet and on the down low. You've told nobody. Yeah, you guys are both in that room and you have to pretend like you don't, like you're just friends, like there's never been anything, and then like one sneaks out and then the other sneaks out like to go home, and then like eventually like blah blah blah, like I don't know, like she can get saucy later when nobody's looking. That I like the idea of mystery, but you know, I don't know why I'm telling y'all this though. I don't know what y'all gonna do with that information, but anyways, whatever. Maybe, yeah, maybe can I speak? Maybe I'm just getting too comfortable on here now. Maybe I should just shut my mouth and go to sleep because intrusive experience that is for like, but maybe that's because we put value onto that part of the body. Maybe if we did it then it wouldn't mean anything. I guess. But anyways, back like nature and also back to not liking living or whatever. I don't like the concept of living, but I like my life within what I have as life is. Like I like my life. But then when I step outside of life as a concept and I look at life as like a dome, like a sphere, and like life is inside it. Inside of the dome, I like it. Like inside of the sphere, I like it. But then when I step outside of it, I'm like, what the hell is that? Like, what is this dome? Like, what's the purpose of it existing? But you know, it's out there existing, and I can only be within the dome. I'm grateful. Outside of the dome, I'm quite indifferent. That doesn't necessarily mean I'm grateful. I just don't understand what to do with it. So, anyways, so yeah, and about nature. Sorry, I keep jumping like that. It's not cohesive, I know, but because I remember certain topics that I wanted to cover, and then yeah. This is probably another reason why I like villages so much, is because they prioritize and let nature live and flourish. Nature is like the primary source, and I don't know, like it's right there before you. Like you open the door, it's right there. Like you can see it somewhere slightly in the distance, or just outside your doorstep. Whereas in cities, you have to make effort to vegetation in pretty much everything, right? Um, to continue is kind of like I've been seeing it more and more as a violent thing. It's very much a want to exist, and I don't know if I align with that, and I think it's okay to say that. So I'm partly divided because I find peace in nature, and then when I do find peace, I'm also taken back because I remember like it had to be violent to continue to like for it to exist right now. I don't know, but like I don't know. I guess I see